thanks for joining us. This is a new series intended to be put on weekly for an hour to give you a free CLE credit and to let you, here comes Beth, and to let you, get another feature about our Friendly Lawyers group. The group is designed to cater to small firm managing lawyers, people who run their own practices, who are, facing the same sorts of challenges. And the CLEs that we plan to do are going to be targeting law practice management issues and mental health and wellness. Sorry. Okay, so Beth Boghossian is doing this first one because I'm sure we're all feeling a little bit pressure from the current situation. So we decided to do some meditation and mindfulness topics to help anybody try to get through this time. I'm looking forward to this because I was talking to Beth earlier and saying that I have some trouble trying to stay calm during all of this. So thanks for joining us, Beth. I can see you, and can you say something just to make sure I can hear you?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna, turn this over to you so we can get the presentation underway. I just want to let everybody know that the chat box to the right will stay open. We will also do some interactivity during the presentation. I know Beth prepared some polls that you guys can also take part in. And afterwards, you'll be getting a survey, a very short survey, just asking you for some feedback about everything. As we explore this whole platform, I will really appreciate anything you have to say that I can improve upon. Without further ado, let's go with it, Beth.
Okay, thanks, Dana. So yeah, what a better time than to figure out how to be mindful and how to be present. I'm uploading my PowerPoint. Let's see if it comes through. I've added some pictures. Otherwise, I'll defer to the other boring one. Oh, okay, I think it's going to work. Because this one's just a little bit fun, talking about how, wow, we thought we needed mindfulness before. What about now? So I don't think anyone is alone in feeling like we need more space. So Dana and I thought we would have a little bit of fun with the topic, creating space when we have so little of it. Creating space in our minds, creating space in our worlds. Mindfulness is touted as creating space in your mind. It's not about turning your thoughts off or stopping your thoughts. We have 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. It's not going to happen. So it's one of Deepak Chopra's myths that, we have to stop my mind from thinking. No, not true. Otherwise, I would never be able to do it. We would never be able to do it. We have big, brilliant thinking brains for a reason, and we can't just turn them off. But with mindfulness, with a practice of mindfulness, aka meditation, we can literally create space in our brain by sitting and being still and allowing our thoughts to come and go without judgment and be more in the moment. So who's heard of being present? Who's heard of being grounded? Who's heard of being in the moment? And how are you all doing with that right now?
So you'd want to type that into your comments because we're not going to be able to hear anybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to do a really quick sound check. Everyone can hear me okay? I know
Yes.
People are saying the video is, the quality is poor. Okay, and my internet crashed a minute ago, aka home office, home living. So I'm back on. Hopefully it won't happen again. Let me go and see if we can start the slides and see what we have here. Okay. So you should all be able to see the first slide. Meditation is creating space. So there, I'll take away all, secrets and be completely transparent. The idea is that in order to create space, we do it in mindful ways, okay? And we can do that with a practice of meditation. And I'll walk you through it. There's nothing here that you're going to have to struggle through alone. So creating space when we have less of it. Why do we have less of it? Because things are different. So on the left, we have white, and on the right, we have black. You know, things have changed vastly in our world and in our lives, 180 degrees. So we've gone from having outings and sharing space with a lot of people without a second thought, not even thinking about it. You know, sporting events are canceled for the first time in how many years, or if ever. Totally unprecedented, totally bizarre. I can only imagine how our kids are going to look back, and they're going to think this is a part of a norm. And I suppose we all will too. But, you know, it's just never happened before. We've all been able to share space. In restaurants, who misses going out to dinner or lunch, or maybe your home office being a coffee shop or something like that? Who misses going to the movies? Look at that crowded movie theater. We were able to be in spaces together and play games, and our kids were going to school. And we were going to work in office buildings or courtrooms. And now we are staying in place in our homes, our townhouses, our condos, cities. I think these tiny houses are funny, so I wanted to put a picture of a tiny house up here. And probably one of the biggest differences that we're all facing is going to home offices. I have a home office. I work from various places and I go to court. But there are some people who did not have home offices because they were over here working in the office building. And or going to court and their office building. So for everyone now, we all have home offices. Okay, I'll open up the chat. Did people have a home office before, or are you creating home offices? And what's that like? Are people squeezing into the kitchen, like this computer screen underneath the kitchen cabinet? Are you squeezing into nooks underneath the stairs?
Yeah, and Beth, just and webinar viewers, just to let everyone know, because of the streaming functionality, you know, what we're putting out, and by the time it downloads to you, there is about a 15-second delay. So as we post questions, you might see a little bit in the delay in replies coming through the chat. Just so that you're aware, you can go ahead and keep talking, and then the replies will start to populate. It might be a good time to throw up a poll too.
Yes. All right, we'll do that. I'm going to read a couple of comments here that just came in, and then we'll get to the first poll question. So we were talking about being present. Yes. And someone said being present in the moment is actually easier now, as it's impossible to plan long term. So who else is finding it easier to be in the moment? Because that's kind of all we really have. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next month or next year. I'm doing okay.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say, I think it's so different because for anyone who is an empty nester or close to it, you know, you have so many fewer distractions pulling on your pant leg. And all of us are kind of experiencing a different range of pressure, you know. So when it comes to these home offices, one thing I'm wondering is, are there even just layout designs? And Beth, could you kind of talk more about what to put in or take out from your home office to increase a sense of control or calm for your space?
Sure. So it's akin to when you sit for meditation. So our first rule of thumb is to create a space, somewhere that you can go to do what you're intending to do. So whether you have a home office at home, and sometimes that gets a little mundane and you want to go to different places of the house, I get it, you know, and sometimes our coworkers take over our home office. There's a big joke going around right now that we're all at home with our kids, or some people are at home with kids, and they are our new coworkers. And so I like to say, yes, but I don't have a policy, a manual for that. And no one has read the employee manual. So we're working with different people around and different distractions. So one idea is to create a space that is, you know, just for working and has fewer distractions. So one of my friends just ordered one of those standing desks, so you can stand and have your computer on, you know, basically a tall platform that you can stand up and work. Sometimes people use those balls where you can sit and you can either bounce on the ball, you can roll around. But if you're feeling like you just need to do something different, and then there are certain things you can do. But the number one thing would be to pick a space or create a space that is just for you. And if you're small on space, like in that tiny house, or, you know, a condo, or you're sharing your place with lots and lots of people and or pets and or noise, you know, when the weather is nicer, we're able to go outside. When it's raining like today, then we're forced to create a space. So the number one thing to do would be to create your own space. If you didn't have a home office before, find a place where you can create space now, even if it's for certain pockets of time. So, you know, some of us too are sharing space with animals, and we're not used to that in our home office. I may have one barking in the background shortly. You know, our home offices consist of people, and that we can't necessarily contain. And it's making us feel a little different and squished. So, who is struggling with their home office space right now? I know one person said, I'm doing okay with the present, being in the present moment, but very difficult to stay focused. The many thoughts you referenced are interfering with each other. Yes. So not only do we have the many thoughts interfering as usual, but we have the many things and the external distractions. So there are internal distractions, external distractions. We have way more of both. So from an external standpoint, it's the pictures that I was just showing you before, with the kids jumping on the couch, or, you know, the dogs making messes, or sometimes it's just a couple people working different businesses in the same home office, or that you didn't have a home office before, but the one that you have now, I mean, like today, my internet went out. So we're just grappling with a lot of different distractions. And then let's talk about the internal distractions. Thoughts are racing. We may have more thoughts or worries or stress than we did before quarantine, because life looks, again, really, really different. So what is that like for people? So Lindsay said she has a home office, but it's set up for one, primarily my husband, and not two, both of us. Yes. So now what do? You have one home office for two people to share, not to mention if kids are trying to e-learn and do schooling at home. So that is a very, very real debacle. What else, Donna?
I was going to say, so while, you know, we wait 10, 15 seconds for the replies to come through, could you talk a little bit about what to do about it? You know, if you've got a circus going on around you and you don't have the ability to really section off the circus, because maybe you don't have a private office room, or you can hear the noise on the outside of the door, what sorts of techniques, or what would you advise someone to try or to practice to try and stop from slipping away into feeling like your blood pressure is, you know, rising?
Right. Very good question. And I think probably the most basic answer is, one, create physical space, and then two, create mental space. And I think that's what you're getting at. So let's talk about creating the mental space. And what I want to sort of acknowledge right away is that, you know, the blood pressure rising and feeling more anxiety and the more demands and more distractions, that's our norm right now. So if you can notice the anxiety and notice the blood pressure going up without reacting to it, without judging yourself for it, without piling on top of it, we call it a meta emotion. It's, I'm anxious about the fact that I'm angry, or I'm upset about the fact that I can't sleep. So we tend to have thoughts that pile on top of other thoughts, which really exacerbate and cause the ruminating and additional stress. So one, find space to create a physical space. Some of the people have comments over here before, had a home office, but now all the kids are home, so it's very free flowing of kids coming in. Yes. And it's really hard, one, to say no to our kids, but once we even learn how to do that, two, for them to realize that we're not really here, depending on their ages, but even when they're older, they have things that they need, and we're all here together. And so it's very, like you said, Lane, it's very free flowing. I hope I said your name correctly. Always had a dedicated home office, said Constance. Dan, home office previously, so maybe not anymore. Now I have extra bodies sharing my space. Yes, yes. Even just knowing there are other people around, or there's a new puppy sleeping around the corner, or when's it going to wake up, is just a distraction. It's one extra thing to grapple with. Thankfully, David says, I have my own room to work in. Several years ago, I worked exclusively at home, but more recently, I rarely used it. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't really ignore some of the portion of the news where now I feel like I owe it to my family and clients to keep very up. Yes. And also, just to let you know, I think part of watching the news is what's working for you in order to be diligent and stay on top of things and know what's going on in our world. Certainly I'm not putting my head in the sand, but I can't watch it 24/7. In fact, I have to watch very limited amounts of news so that it doesn't interfere and add on to the thousands of thoughts that are already in here. So I think it's to each his and her own. There are professionals and psychologists out there saying to limit the news that you watch. So maybe there's a way of reading the news or only watching the news for 10 minutes in the morning, or I find personally for me that reading the news on a news source that I prefer and trust is better for me to grab statistics rather than to experience the sensationalism of the media. So that's one little trick that I use. Okay, so clearly, thanks for everyone for sharing all that. Clearly, we're all struggling with extra stuff, and how do we create space? If once we find a physical space, hey, even if you have to move it around, figure out what works for you. If you want me to help you, debunk some of this stuff and peel away the layers, I'd be happy to do a phone call. We can talk about it more. But as far as for this presentation, one, find a space that you can designate your own, and then two, create space in your mind. And yes, as Donna was trying to get me into the topic, we create that by mindfulness and by a practice of meditation. So we are in tough times. It's not easy to start a new habit. And what I'm going to submit to you is that by even moments of mindfulness, moments of sitting still, I'm going to challenge everyone to and dare you to just be willing to try something new every once in a while. And with this CLE today, we'll experience some mindfulness and a short meditation. So why don't we go ahead and
I did.
What this is.
That's a good kind of point for me to just interject for a second, that I did go ahead and pop up a poll just to see if anyone on the webinar has meditated before. And in a few more minutes, I will close the poll and then the results will post.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, who has meditated before? Who has experience with it? And then we can talk more about that. And I love when you share your comments, because not only does it help us to see where we are, primary processing, we get to see and hear where we are. Yes, I've meditated before, or no, but I'm willing to, or no, it scares the heck out of me, I won't be able to do it. Whatever your thoughts are about it, go ahead and post your thoughts in the chat, and then we will go through those together. It doesn't only help you, but it helps other people to share your experience and just see where you are with it. Sharing the experience in my practice and in my learnings training, it deepens the learning, so we all get to learn from each other, and it sort of normalizes, it's a funny word these days, but it normalizes their experience of it. So by you sharing whether you've meditated, what that's like for you, even some of you sharing your home office space, we're curious to know what other people are grappling with out there. Okay, so thanks for sharing. Mindfulness, what is it? It goes way back to the Pali language in ancient India and Buddhism, and it basically means awareness, sati, or awareness. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose. So deliberately paying attention in the present moment. I know it's not easy to do. I'll help you with that in a minute. And non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment by moment. And I would even dare to say right now in these times, sometimes it's second to second. So being in the present moment, non-judgmentally, I'm going to focus on that part of it for a minute, because not having judgment about whatever your experience is for me the key to a mindfulness practice and to meditation. By not being hard on yourself for having those extra thoughts, by letting a thought come and go like a billowing cloud or a car on the highway, by noticing something, gee, my hands are cold, maybe my circulation isn't so great, oh, I should have some more hot tea. Instead of having opinions about my thoughts and what I'm experiencing right now, I just notice it. So let's do that right now. Just breathe and check in with yourself and just notice, how am I feeling? You know, we can do sort of an informal body scan. How am I feeling in my head? Is it cloudy or clear? How does my body feel? Am I feeling achy? Am I comfortable, or am I clenching my jaw, or am I clenching my hands together? Am I wringing my hands? Just notice, do a check-in with yourself right now and notice how you are right now in this present moment. And then feel free to share your comments. What did you notice about where you are right now?
Why'd you take the bell
And
off
then, fine. And then the challenge.
Perfect.
Wait, come back over here. Hey, Bennett, come here. Oh,
Perfect. This is the sort of interruptions that we're all trying to stay calm around.
One of my coworkers. Yeah, and I don't normally dress up for work. This is me being dressed up, throwing on some jewelry and and straightening the hair, right? Okay, but you know, mindfulness, being aware. What has everyone experienced right now just by being present? Some little that is my life times 3. Me too. I have 3 kids and we just got a puppy. It's a little insane around here. I'm not quite sure I was in my right frame of mind when I decided to do it, but on the other hand, I'll never look back. Okay, so being in the present moment, non-judgmentally, who can share with us what that was like to just sort of check with themselves? What did you notice? Were there any areas of your body that were really tight? Did you notice,
Well,
this is a great one. Do you ever notice when you stop breathing or when you start breathing shallow? That's a great observation. Yes.
And I'm happy to be one of the first to comment, since it's easier or faster to hear than once we see the replies. You know, one thing that I do notice if I do what you said to do is I cannot think about anything else if I have now concentrated all of my attention on trying to monitor my heart rate, or if I'm paying attention to my breathing, or if I notice that I am engulfed in that focus and I can't have another thought enter. And I think that's the point, right? It's the point is to try to extend that completely calm state. It almost reminds me of as if you are underwater and you've muted out everything and you can't even see very far underwater, you know, because it gets blurrier and you can't hear much. It kind of reminds me of that sort of feeling.
Yes. And that's something that a lot of people go for when they do meditation. People want that feeling of everything else being shut out. And some people struggle with it and they think they're not doing it right because they're still bombarded with thoughts. Sometimes it's a voice in the head over here on this shoulder, another voice over here, conflicting thoughts, conflicting voices. I work a lot with people on the coaching side. I'm trying to discern and identify what voices are there and if they're real and if they're truthful, which one do I want to pay attention to, etc. That's a whole different ball game. But I think it's, you know, suffice it to say that there are lots of thoughts, different opinions and ideas in our one one brain, and that in meditation, people really like that transcendental experience where you can close everything else sort of out. And that's the creating a space. So in meditation, we like to have a mantra, or we focus on the breath. The most common instruction in meditation is to focus on your breath. So if you were to do that in the next, 10 seconds, we can take 10 seconds and just focus on your breath, and we'll do a longer experience in a few minutes, but go ahead, I'll time it. Focus on your breath, find it, notice it, and focus on it. Sometimes it helps to close your eyes. Okay, stay with it. See if you can make your breath longer. Okay. Did anyone have trouble finding your breath? It's easy to forget.
Yeah, I'll answer while people are commenting. I found that if I turn my attention to my breath, I automatically lengthen it. Is that something that happens to you?
Totally, completely. And in fact, it's our nervous system. So we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic nervous system gets triggered when we focus on our breath. And there's something called 4-7-8 breathing that was really made popular by Dr. Andrew Weil. He's a Harvard grad, but he speaks to both Eastern and Western medicine. So I can tell you what that is right now. It's 4-7-8 breathing. So it's not necessarily seconds, but it's the ratio of breathing. So you breathe, and my point is that this triggers the parasympathetic response nervous system to actually slow down and create calm. So what it is you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you exhale for 8. See if you can enlarge the picture.
I can. Here, I'll do it. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to do 4 rounds of this together. So in meditation, it's a practice of being still with focus on your breath, or a mantra. If you choose one word like peace, 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 or letting go, or relax, 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 and non-judgment, the non-judgment part, and then repeat. So it's really as simple as that. I'm dumbing it down for you, right? But let's go ahead and do the 4-7-8 breathing, and it's going to trigger a response so that you are actually slowing down your body, your mind, your breath is actually slowing down. And see if you notice any physical reactions with your body too when we do that, okay? So let's do it together. We're supposed to do 4 rounds at a time. When we just start doing this, we're not supposed to do more than 4 rounds. We'll just do 4 rounds. And it's, again, the count of 4, then 7, then 8. We take it in, we hold it, and then we let it out. When you take it in, it's through your nose. When you hold it, it's here. And then when you exhale, you're actually put the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth. And exhale as if you're blowing out a candle. Everyone got it? Okay.
Well,
right.
I'm on camera. Everybody else can do this, and this is being recorded. So I'm just kidding. So I'm going to do it. So if I can do it on camera, you guys can do it too.
We're all going to do it.
And then I'd like to know why I have to put my tongue behind my teeth. I'd like to know the science behind that, but I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Because Beth said.
Because that's a really good question. Leave it to you to come up with that question. Are you trying to put me on the spot here? No one ever asked me that. Okay. But I didn't make this stuff up. I rarely do. If I do, I kind of go, oh, I probably heard that somewhere before. But no, I for sure didn't make this up. It's called 4-7-8 breathing. Let's do it. I posted it on Facebook a couple weeks ago. But it's for like this instant calm. So let's do it without further ado. Okay. And it doesn't have to be exact seconds. I already said that before. It's just the ratio. So I'm going to use my fingers and count. Ready? Sit, get comfortable in your chair, whatever's holding you up. And you're going to just relax and be still as best as you can. We're going to take it in for 4. Ready? Take it in for 4 through your nose. Hold it for 7. Exhale for 8. in for 4. Hold it. Out for 8. Nice. In for 4. Make sure you're not hunching or scrunching. Hold it for 7. Out for 8. Nice. Last one. In for 4. Hold it for 7. Out for 8. Nice. Resume your normal breathing.
Head rush.
Now I'd really love to hear from people in the chat. Yes, as you said, it's the same in some yoga practices. It helps you to control the speed of the exhale. And one little tidbit is that when you're deep breathing like that, the idea is that the exhale is always longer than the inhale. Please, if you would share in the chat what that was like for you. Do you feel different before than you did after, and how? Is anyone more relaxed? Is anyone?
I think I am. I mean, part of that is I was halfway kidding when I said head rush. I did feel a little bit of a lightness in my head, which I think is contributing to this feeling of softness now.
Nice.
You know, it's almost like softness is raining down a little bit.
Nice. Martha says soothing. Anyone else? Does anyone else feel a little more relaxed? Does anyone else feel a little more focused or a little more in control of your body, your senses, your surroundings? I like to say that control gets a bad rap. Control is not a bad thing. It's okay to want to have some control in our lives. It's okay to have some control in our lives. It's when we try to control other people, the outcome, we get into a little bit of trouble there. But it's okay to control our breath, our breathing, and our response to the world. Constance, more focused. Great.
So is this something that, Beth, you incorporate into your daily work? You know, this was a little few-minute routine, maybe like ahead of lunch, after lunch, ahead of the afternoon session. Do you have a habit of doing that?
What do I personally do? I meditate every day. And again, I love to do it in the morning, the first thing. Sarah McLean, I did training with her. It's RPM, rest, P, meditate, rise, P, meditate. So the first thing in the morning before you get your coffee, before you start your to-do list, you just sit in your meditation space and you do a meditation. So whether mine is 11 minutes or 45 minutes, I like to try to do it first thing in the morning. But yes, to answer your question, if I do it throughout the day, if I'm feeling tired, to me, it's akin to a nap. And I know that might sound really far-fetched. However, even Deepak Chopra says that, I know I keep going back to him. I like Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, he has a fun name.
Guru of meditation. What's that?
Yeah, he has a fun name too.
That too. If you want to reach out for resources about him or any of the other gurus out there or other things, and even articles about the 4-7-8 breathing, Dr. Andrew Weil, I'll send you whatever you'd like to know. But yes, I do it throughout the day and in the day. And sometimes I forget. I'm totally human. Okay, thank you. I don't set a timer on my phone. I'm not one of those people, but there are. Go ahead, do whatever works for you, and take breaks. So sometimes a break for me is, and I have a lot going on with the quarantine and with, kids and puppy and work and clients, that I don't have the same structure that I did before, and there are a lot more moving parts. However, I will say this, that when my body is tired, I'm listening more and I'm resting more. I try to do that anyway, but even more so now. And so meditation for me, instead of taking a nap, I don't like to try to take naps because I rest my head and I start to think. Does that happen to anyone? You go to take a nap and you can't stop thinking and you can never fall asleep because you're still thinking. In meditation, it doesn't require us to turn off our brain. It requires us to have a focal point like the breath or a mantra, or try any number of gazillion online guided meditations there are. I do live meditations for people, online meditations, group meditations, meditations on retreat in Mexico. We do these meditations and we're there listening to something so that that is our focal point. So a meditation in the middle of the day is akin to a nap for me. And then at nighttime, I sometimes do meditation. I'm more in the habit of like television, getting out of my life. Yes, I'm totally human. I don't know if anyone else is going on Netflix binges or Amazon Prime, Hulu Sling, you know, whatever you're watching out there, movie marathons. My kids and I are doing more movie nights together, which I kind of like, but you know, what's working for you? But when I wake up sometimes later in the night, I might put on a guided meditation because I really want to slow my brain down. There's a question out in the chat. What's your favorite meditation app? Looking to download one. A very, very popular one is called Calm. Another one is called Headspace. Synchronization is one that I downloaded. That was an annual charge, but I still did it. I liked it. There are other practitioners who send daily meditations, but there is a lot of free, no charge resources out there. Sing Tuition is amazing. Cool. Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, it has these different stories and pictures, and it's just very captivating.
I'm
And then they have these
gonna
different topics.
I'm gonna jump in real quick and just say I'm gonna go ahead and put up a second poll. We wanted to know if everybody believed that the calming effects of meditation that we just kind of felt in the moment would last into your daily life. Does that affect last after that meditation practice? So I'll keep that poll up for a few minutes, and then in about 5 minutes, I'll just end it so that we could see the results. I don't know, you know, on my side of the screen, the results popped up automatically, and I'm not sure if from the viewer side of the screen, you're able to see the results, but the last, and I hope you do, I think that's the point, is to share that information, but the last poll where we asked if anybody has meditated before, we did have 2/3, 73% on the webinar today has meditated before, and 1/4 of us have not. So just wanted to let you know that in case you hadn't seen it.
Cool, very cool. So I'm glad you've all tried it. Some of you maybe have toyed with it. Some of you have practices. If you ever want to start a practice, reach out anytime. I teach meditation to people so they can incorporate it into their lives. I think what I'll do next is tell you some of the benefits of meditation, because, you know, we lawyers love proof. But there are studies and research all over the place that I'm reading right now. Have you heard of Daniel Goleman? He wrote a book, Social Intelligence and Emotional Intelligence. Maybe you've heard of him more recently, but his new book is Altered Traits. Science reveals how meditation changes your mind, brain, and body. I just did a meditation last week called Meditation, a Brain Changer for Lawyers, and got into some of the nitty gritty about how meditation actually changes your brain. And so what I like about the information that's out there and the current poll question that we have is that, do you believe meditation stays with you? So what they're talking about in here is the difference between a state of mind and an altered trait. So a state of mind is being conscious and feeling different, like we did a couple minutes ago with the 4-7-8 breathing. It's having a different, or being in a different state of mind during meditation or during the breathing, where I actually feel more calm, I feel lighter, I am able to just let some of those, those thoughts go and some distractions go. And then we have these altered traits where the lasting effects and benefits of meditation are vast, not only from physical manifestation, but mental and personality. So what this research is showing, that it changes some of our traits. We're able to respond to things better and not just react. It fosters a greater propensity towards compassion. We are able to focus better. It tweaks our attention span. And so meditation has all these great benefits. Again, if you want any of the research out there, there's some from Yale, Harvard, Denmark, everywhere. And this has been going on for decades too. This is not within the last handful of years. It's not just about the monks in the Himalayas. This is really real stuff that is happening all around our world for many, many years now. Jon Kabat-Zinn is a practitioner who brought Eastern into the West as far as meditation and mindfulness goes. He has a program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And I took the course. It's an 8-week course, and the study groups meditate for 30 minutes a day. And the research and the findings that came out of that were that it helped with blood pressure and diabetes and lowered the symptoms and the stressors of depression, anxiety, and all of these things. So, you know, today's CLE is going to be accredited for, or is accredited for, the mental health substance abuse professionalism credit. And that's because our profession is in some trouble here. We're experiencing higher rates of substance abuse, mental illness, suicide, and all of these other things. There was the global chairperson for Baker McKenzie died of exhaustion, April, exactly 1 year ago. I didn't know there was such a condition as exhaustion, but there is. And this is after a 6-month sabbatical. So even after 6 months of not working, this man died because of complications due to exhaustion. So this is real stuff. And I would dare to say that if we're not struggling with, you know, mental health issues, specific issues, or substance use or abuse or addiction, we are all grappling with stress. That is a common thread and something that we all struggle with, especially in today's quarantine pandemic. We're all having more thoughts and more difficulty. So how do we create this space? By meditation. There's research out there. Again, I'll send you whatever you want to know. But there is plenty of research to show that it works and what all of the great benefits are.
So could you speak, and real quick, I'll just share a personal experience as well with someone that I know who is a bank owner. He had been, you know, diagnosed with something. I don't think they called it exhaustion, but it was in the same vein. It had to do with some kind of chronic, prolonged feeling that resulted from the amount of stress he was bearing on such a regular basis. And it did essentially knock him out in terms of his ability to function. And your story reminded me of his condition, and this happened a number of years ago. So he did have to completely kind of alter his lifestyle in order to come out of it, because the doctors were warning him that it will continue to deteriorate his stability. And you know, it's a success story for him because he took it seriously. But I agree with you. I never kind of realized the extent that the impact can have until I learned of his condition and how it impacted him. So it reminds me of that Baker. I'd not heard before that someone had suffered to that extent that they died, but I can see the link.
Mm-hmm. And there are terrible, tragic stories about suicide in the law. I mean, our profession is one of the highest professions for rates of suicide. You know, it's not, you know, just the dentists, doctors, therapists out there. It's the lawyers. And, you know, if you AM Law, the American Lawyer, is a publication that I get an email for, and they always have headlines about mental health issues in the law and different things like that. And it's just a very real issue. In fact, there are a couple law firms. So I went on with our PowerPoint because here I love to mention the National Task Force on Lawyer Wellbeing. There's a national task force of lawyers around the nation saying that our industry is in trouble because of the statistics that they've been gathering as far as attorney well-being. And so here it talks about mindfulness and meditation being one of the example educational topics for lawyer well-being. And so of course I put it in here, mindfulness meditation can enhance cognitive reframing and resilience, helps our ability to monitor our thoughts and avoid becoming emotionally overwhelmed. Who has heard of compassion fatigue? A lot of us experience that in our work because we begin to relate with our clients. We want to fight and advocate for them. And yet we don't always win in the law. We know that. Anyone who's been practicing law for more than a day knows that it's not always about justice and fairness. Mindfulness can reduce rumination, stress, depression, and anxiety. It can enhance a host of competencies related to lawyer effectiveness, like increased focus and concentration, working memory, critical thinking. It can enhance your self of work-life balance, so you can get away from a preoccupation with work. So, I'm going to submit to you and cut to the chase here, obviously, that this meditation, a practice of meditation, even trying it for a couple minutes a day, is going to help you to create space when you are not able to go to outside the house and work in different places or go to your office. So there is proof that meditation is creating space in your mind and bolstering your ability to respond and not react and to do all these different things. The research that I was telling you about, Goldman and Richardson over here, is that it changes the brain and the different parts of the brain. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty because it's really actually very beefy. You can call me anytime and I'll tell you about it. I love talking about it. But it increases the gray matter in the different areas of your brain to increase the functioning. It's like building the muscle for your anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC, your prefrontal cortex, and your hippocampus. Meditation changes the amygdala, it shrinks the amygdala. And full disclosure, there's a lot of criticism, or some, I won't say a lot, there's some criticism about the research with brain and meditation, saying the brain is too complex of an organ to really conclusively say how meditation changes the brain. But the proof is in the pudding. And when you see the fMRIs and the links and the correlations, and then you experience it for yourself, then there's no denying that it does create these changes in the moment and lasting changes after. The amygdala is the fight or flight. So not only are we beefing up our attention and our ability to focus, but we are working in the areas of our brain that connect our amygdala fight or flight to the cognitive and the executive functioning and the reasoning and rational parts of our brain, so that we have more time, we're taking more time to respond to something rather than react. Who's ever reacted and regretted it? Whether it was saying something to a judge, opposing a counsel, children, spouses, partners, anything. So meditation is the act of being still and noticing without judgment. And it fosters and increases your ability to respond and not simply react. So another way it changes your brain, or I talked about the different connectivity that it enhances, and it also reduces the activity in the brain's me center. So has anyone ever heard of the monkey mind? It's basically your racing thoughts and the whole world being focused on your racing thoughts. Not to mention that there's a whole other world out there and these other different things going on. So it reduces the me center of your brain. Some traits that it increases or enhances before, during, after. So again, it's not just the fact of being, it's the benchmark from before. So remember when I asked you all, how did you feel before we did the 4-7-8 breathing? But it's how you feel during, and then how you feel after. So take that with meditation. How did you feel before meditation, during, and after? And the aftermath is what we're really focusing on here, because if you actually start and build a meditation practice, you will experience the traits, in addition to the state of meditation, the traits of meditation. And some of those are, again, increased attention, lowered stress, or an ability to be an observer of your stress. Does that make sense to you? Where you can witness your stress and not necessarily react to it. So sometimes I might notice, I'm stressed. With every emotion comes a physical sensation. I didn't make that up. It's just body wisdom. So start to notice your thought and then how you're feeling in your body. So I'm feeling stressed. Okay, my chest is really hot and tight, and I'm feeling anxious, and I can feel my heart beating. Just start observing and noticing the changes that you have with that. And then some other things that it does are, and then we're going to end with another experiential here.
While you're finding that spot, I'll just let everybody know that, we're coming into the last 10 minutes. If you do have any particular questions, go ahead and type them into the chat so that Beth can address them, or we can direct the conversation that way. Go ahead, Beth.
Thank you, Donna. And then it also increases compassion. I don't know about you, but compassion can come in handy for anyone, any place, anytime. So it's not just this feel-good, fluffy thing that we imagine in our close relationships, but in the world at large. So how does your world of the view change when you have compassion for it? Someone posted on Facebook the other day, like, we're not all in this together. We have different size boats, and, someone was tweeting with someone was noticing a celebrity tweeting, and the celebrity was talking about how they're stuck inside their big mansion with their one child and their partner. And, let's face it, we all have different circumstances. However, how can we share the experience that we're all going through something really, really different and, unprecedented and very strange and weird. And we're all grappling with how to respond to it and assimilate. So regardless of how how big or pretty your mansion is, how big your boat is, how big your office space is, we are all in the strange world together. And so that's how compassion is sort of playing into this. And how do I feel about the experience when I have compassion, from the mind's eye of compassion, as opposed to something different? How does it benefit you? How does it support you? So I know this is Donna's favorite part. We're going to do, right? This is your favorite part? Okay. So let's do another experience and we'll end on that. And that at 1 hour, you're free to go. However, as long as this doesn't boot us out of here, this webinar, we can stay on and do some chat and share the experience, because I don't know about you, but I think other people, I'm guessing that other people would love to hear how some of you experience this too. Whether you like it, don't like it, if you struggle with it, if you find it easy, if you find it relaxing, if it gave you a new perspective, all of it. I'd love to hear it. So I'm going to time this, and you all know we don't have more than 7 minutes left. So we can't do this for more than 7 minutes. So why don't
let's go ahead and do it for 5. So then I'll take a couple minutes in case people are signing off right away. I just want to
okay. Ray?
Do the closing remarks.
Never mind. Okay. So let's go back to how to meditate. For those of you veterans out there, just go ahead and get comfortable, and I'll walk all of us through the same thing. Meditating is being still. When you are ready, you can let your eyes close or gaze down in front of you and get comfortable. One of the biggest impediments to meditation is not being comfortable. So sometimes I might move my neck around, shrug my shoulders. I find that it helps to take a nice breath and bring your shoulders back and just relax them down, okay? You can take your hands and fold them on your lap, right hand over left, or you can take mudra fingers. Every finger means something different. If you want to know what they mean, call me later, text me, email me, but you can take your first, second, third. You can put them on your lap and just let your arms relax next to you and let gravity do its thing, and find your breath. Continue to get comfortable, and we will do a body scan to go through. As you do the body scan, you can imagine that you have sort of just an aura going down and around your body, and it's following down and it's softening all the different areas of your body and helping you to relax. So we'll start with our head, and notice your head and how your head feels. And breathe. Imagine the lines in your forehead smoothing out. Imagine your eyelids becoming a little heavier. your cheeks softening and your jaw relaxing. And breathe. Notice in your throat. If it's tight, imagine breathing into that space. And continue with the scan down your body. Imagine your chest opening and widening. Imagine as if there is air actually going in to your chest and broadening the shoulders. And let that same space and melting and warmth go down your body through your core, around your rib cage, front and back. They say that the back of our body holds our past. If there's anything you want to let go of back there, just imagine it going and breathe. And imagine the warmth and the softening going throughout your body, down your hips and your legs, the front of your legs and the back. And let yourself sink further into your seat, your chair, your cushion, whatever's holding you. And breathe. And notice the warmth, the softening around your knees, front and back, down your legs, ankles, top of your feet, your heels, the bottom of your feet, and your toes. And breathe. Now imagine a color. What color comes to mind? And just let that color fill your thoughts. Any thoughts that you have during meditation, you can thank them for coming. You can notice that you'll get back to them another time. And come back to your breath. And as we come out of meditation, you can rub your hands together really fast, create some warmth and friction. And put the palms of your hand on your eyes. Take a final deep breath. You can trace your face with your fingertips a couple times, make a heart. And slowly open your eyes and come back to wherever you are.
Thanks, Beth, so much. Perfect timing. We are at 1 hour. So I just want to take 30 seconds and thank everybody for joining us. I will be sending certificates of completion to your email. And we are planning to have our next webinar next week on the subject of executive presence virtually. So what that means is now that we are transacting business through virtual meetings more often, Amy Gardner will talk about how to transfer your executive presence through your webcam and techniques to do that. It's a little bit different than when you're in person. So if that's something that interests you, be on the watch for an email. I will be sending registration links through the various channels that we've used this time around. So if you manage to find it this time, hopefully you'll manage to find it next time too. And once more, we're going to stay on a little bit longer in case anybody wants to chat. But as far as the CLE credit goes, you've earned your credit. Thanks again. Have a productive week. Happy Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone. All right, if you're still on with us, you're welcome to stay on. I'll answer any questions and we can chat about your experience.
Yeah, and Beth, And anybody who stays on, we'll just have this for an extra 10 minutes, and that before I have to end the program and get along, get along with my day.
In your close quarters.
We are going to have a Friendly Lawyers virtual happy hour on Friday, and all topics are game for our happy hour. So we could kind of continue this conversation there after 10 minutes if we wanted to.
Cool. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Everyone's saying thanks and bye and thanks. So Jasmina, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. It says, thanks for highlighting the lack of judgment. That piece is very important. Me too. I had no idea that I was doing it. And I also didn't know that I had permission not to, because we're taught to think. I mean, lawyers are very analytical. We have brilliant brains that have gotten us to where we are right now, right? And so we're thinkers. And the thought of not thinking about something or not analyzing something is different. And so I like to say I give lawyers permission to not think or to do things differently or to slow down. But yeah, not having judgment about something is I find it very freeing. And with my clients and the people who hear about that too, it just changes the whole game. Because you can have a thought and then you can let it go. It's like, imagine in some of my training, you imagine yourself being in this really anxiety producing situation, and then you just observe it. So you imagine something in your life which is really stressful. Who here is having trouble sleeping? So if you notice you're having trouble sleeping, just notice and witness yourself, okay, I'm having trouble sleeping. So it's kind of adopting this matter-of-fact attitude. And some of my favorite words, 2 words, someone taught me long ago. Oh, well. Oh, well, I'm not sleeping. Oh, well. The puppy's not sleeping. Oh, well, my kids haven't done their e-learning. Oh, well. Actually, 2 out of 3 always do it, in case they're around and they hear me say that. They're very, very, very responsible. And I'm so grateful. The 3rd one, not so much. And she's not here right now, so she doesn't get to hear me say that, but she would not deny it. E-learning has been a little bit of a disaster with my youngest. I'm just going to be honest. Who else is having trouble with e-learning? Let's keep it real.
Yeah, I think everybody's hands go up. That's been a major transition, I think, that people are trying to adjust to in a very short period of time, in addition to everything else that people are transitioning to. And that's why I think this topic was particularly timely, because we all need or could benefit from, even if we are not really pushed to the total edge. I think it's fair to say that everybody is in a place in their life where you could always kind of brighten or improve your circumstance. I mean, if that's not the case, then maybe you don't see it, right? Because that's what life is. It's about this onward journey to feel happier, to feel more in balance. And, because life's factors just come and go outside and beyond your control. Now, the only thing that we can do is react to that, right? Do you share with that?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And I think the truth is that we're all grappling with a lot of stuff. Oh, cool. I think I just put the poll out there and got results. Do you feel differently after this exercise? To answer your question, yes, we're all struggling with that, and we're all struggling with the ability to respond to things and not react. So if you can keep that in your mind, how do I want to respond? How do I want to respond? It's like timing ourselves out in a way. We give kids a timeout, or we count to 3 to give them a moment to regroup and think about what they really want to do. How do I really want to respond to this? Do I want to go do what my mother is asking me to do, or do I want to be in a timeout? And so we can ask ourselves, how do I want to respond to this? How am I going to feel, after I do this? So it's just having the ability to put a little puff of air in between, something happening and then me doing something about it. And
I like how you said that, I like that visualization. A little puff of air. How do I want to respond to this? Incorporating or developing that habit, it probably can go a long way, you know, if that's your default reaction.
Sometimes they say when we do a deep breathing exercise to imagine it being circular, to imagine the breath being circular. And at the top, just imagine before taking your next breath, a little space in between, and then taking your next breath. And it just inserts this idea of spaciousness into my breathing, into my thinking, into my being, both physically and mentally. So we have the results of the poll. Do you feel differently after the meditation exercise? 66% say I feel calmer and more relaxed. 0% say I feel the same. Oh, I love hearing that. So I'm what would it be? Whatever number for whatever number. People always feel different. No one ever feels the same. And then that's why I like to say, I'm going to prove to you that you will feel different, or that you can meditate. There's no such thing as failing to meditate, only, wait a minute. There's no such thing as failing at meditation, only failing to meditate. So every meditation is a success. 33% had trouble staying still. Yes. 0% felt bored. Well, that's good. I find that with instructional guided meditations, those keep me from feeling bored. In fact, it wasn't until quarantine that I even knew or remembered what boredom was. And now it's like, what is that feeling? Oh, I've watched enough movies where I'm kind of like, oh, what else can I do? You know, that feeling of boredom. I never thought I would feel bored again in my entire life because plate is full. Right. But yeah, so for you, the 33% who had trouble staying still.
And I fall into that.
You fall into that. And I was gonna say, I suspect it might be the people who don't meditate regularly only because you're not familiar with it and you don't know what it's like. So it feels strange to sit and be still. A lot of us are doers. Again, we're thinkers. We didn't become lawyers to sit still and not think. And that's what I'm challenging you to do. Because by doing that and slowing down and being still, it actually allows you to speed up in other ways: focus, attention, compassion, response. So it really enhances all of these abilities and skills, and again, traits. So if you had trouble being still, know that that is typical. I don't like the word normal. Who knows what normal is, but it's typical. It's hard to sit still. Even for practice meditators, it's hard sometimes to sit still. So if you can let go of the judgment, gee, I wonder why I'm having such a hard time sitting still. Oh, if I were a calmer person, I wouldn't have such a hard time. Oh, if I were more, if I were able to follow directions and try new things, let yourself have the experience that it's having. And even if it's hard, notice that it's hard and let yourself have it anyway. They say for people who say, I don't have time to meditate today, I have too much going on, meditate twice as long. If I don't have time to do it, I probably need to do it. So, you know, it's all relative and it's up to me. You know, I'll never know if you guys meditate again. It's, you know, as you will, it's your choice, but I'm here to support you. You can reach out anytime, but really, we don't get in trouble for not meditating. The only trouble we experience is that we might be able to feel something different and have a different benefit if we indulge and we let ourselves take time. I think meditation is a gift. I think it's a personal gift. It's a gift of self-care and self-love and self-discipline, to be able to have yourself sit and be when we're so used to doing and thinking and accomplishing.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great message. And with that, we are about a minute away from closing out. So Beth, I just wanted to take this last minute to say, you know, I hope you know, I think you're great. I think your message is great. I know you do this from a true, sincere place to want to help people feel better and get more balance. And I think that's why a lot of our messages overlap. So thank you again for doing this, our inaugural webinar, weekly webinar series. And anybody that's still on can reach out to me. And if you need Beth's contact information, if you don't have it otherwise, I'll be happy to give it to you.
I'll put my email in the chat here. I had it on the last slide. I'm a lawyer and a coach, by the way. I still litigate. And I'll put my phone number. I'm doing texts during quarantine. I say I'm coaching free of charge right now. Oh, it didn't come out right. 773-550-3366. So for my clients, my non-clients and coaching, I do the group coaching in the one-on-one, but most of it's around mindfulness, whether people know it or not. And it's executive coaching. And so people who are really struggling with the quarantine right now, I'm just inviting people to reach out, and within usually minutes, if not hours, depending on what I have going on in my space, then I'll be getting back to you. And sometimes we're just looking for words of encouragement. Sometimes we're just looking to connect with someone. Or like you were saying, Donna, sometimes we're just looking for someone to put it another way, to give a different perspective, to reframe something, or to, help me sort through, Beth, I really want to meditate, but I don't even have anywhere to sit. There's too much going on. And I'll give you some tips and I'll walk you through one if you want. But we are in this together, and I'm happy to entertain your questions and your struggles, because the struggle is real. We can do this. You know how I know that? Because we already are.
Good point.
We have to. We will. And thank you
All
for
right,
your kind
everyone.
words and for having me.
You're welcome. Goodbye, friends.